My goal today is to teach you something about gardening, and this is the Gardening Homesteading Skills Global Gardening Collaboration. You may remember that a few days ago, might have been a week, I finally got my Stark Brothers order that I ordered, a lemon tree. It's a Meyer lemon. Well, I put it in my grow room under a grow light until I had time to do a little research to find out exactly if there was anything special I needed to do to plant it. Oh, there's my lunch. Hold on, I'm going to pause you. You'll be back in a split second, but I'm going to take time out to eat my lunch. Okay, lunch is done. My husband came in and said, "What did you have for lunch?" Because, you know, he has a refrigerator out in his man cave and he snacks on whatever he feels like. And he said he had steak, which was left over from a couple of days ago when we went to a doctor's appointment and ate out at a restaurant afterwards, like we usually do. And so I thought, well, I better eat something. So, being a little bit lazy on a Sunday afternoon, a holiday Sunday at that, because today is Easter. He is risen, indeed. I just grabbed a can of Campbell's chunky sirloin vegetable soup. I figured that was nutritious enough. For a while anyway, it'll hold me. Anyway, I got around to researching about my Meyer lemon tree because I wanted to make sure that I did the right thing with it. I'll insert a picture. And reminding you of when I got it. And a picture of what it looks like now that I repotted it. And a picture of the pot that it came in. Well, two pictures I'm going to show you of the pot that it came in. Because the picture I took made the pot look big, but then I took a picture with my hand on it showing the pot wasn't big. I think it was like 4 inches maybe. Anyway, I did some research about Meyer lemons, and I thought, because my goal is to teach you things, I had better do some research so that I can teach you about growing lemon trees. Some of you live in the South where you can grow citrus without a problem. Well, although the South has been having its share of freezing weather lately. I live in what I would call the North. I'm in Northeast Oregon. It's the dry side of the state. I'm in Zone 6B. On what most people think of in Oregon, I think they're in Zone 8. It's on the other side of the Cascade Mountains. And it's green and lush and beautiful over there. Over here we have high desert not cactus. We don't have cactus. We have sagebrush. We grow wheat, corn, stuff like that, canola. Anyway, our summers are plenty hot, although they are not humid generally. But our winters get cold. Not super, super cold, but cold nevertheless. So what about growing lemon trees? Well, let me situate my device here so that I don't have to hold on to it. Yes, you can see me okay, right? Growing lemon trees, they're called citrus Meyeri, in garden pots or in the ground is a rewarding experience, but I can't grow mine in the ground. Mine have to be in pots. Not only are they prolific fruit producers, but their showy white blossoms are incredibly fragrant and beautiful, with shiny dark foliage that adds additional interest. Well, yeah, you don't have to be in the sun belt to grow citrus. There are small varieties that are well suited to containers, allowing gardeners everywhere to enjoy the benefits of homegrown citrus trees, including the glossy green foliage, intoxicating floral fragrance, and the ultimate payoff by picking the fresh fruit from your tree. The citrus trees, in general, citrus trees thrive with 8 hours of sunlight every day. And if you're going to grow them outdoors, which I told you I can't, but if you can, choose a southern location sheltered from drying wind. Indoors, if you don't have a sufficiently sunny south or southwest exposure, add full spectrum grow lights, leaving them on for up to 12 hours a day. Right after I got mine in the little pot, I set it in my grow room, and there's a grow light right above it. Now I have it transplanted into what's going to be its permanent pot for a while, and I put it in with my house plants, and it, even though it's a south-facing window, it doesn't get as much sun as I would really like. I may move it back to the grow room so that it gets more light, at least for a while until I see that it's thriving. I don't know. I'll have to decide that, because I don't know if it gets, I know it gets light, but it's rather filtered where I've got it, because the light coming in the window is right by a porch, and for some reason or other, it just stays rather protected in that little corner of my house, even though it's a south-facing window. In fact, none of my south-facing windows are real. The only ones that would be almost too hot for a plant would be the ones we have in the bedroom. Citrus trees are very cold sensitive. Like snowbirds fleeing northern climates in the winter, citrus trees do not like cold weather, and they must be protected or moved indoors when the mercury drops. So during the summer, I will be able to set my little tree outside. If you garden in a relatively mild climate, it might be possible to leave your tree outdoors most of the year, covering it with frost cloth or moving it to a protected location for short periods as needed. Otherwise, bring the container inside for the winter. And depending on your citrus variety, mine is a Meyer lemon, foliage and fruit suffer damage at about 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, with mandarin, orange, grapefruit, and lemon falling in between that range somewhere. Some citrus varieties can tolerate temperatures in the teens for a couple of hours. I don't know, sounds risky to me. Determine your hardiness from the nursery plant tag or catalog description. I need to look up on mine and see what my hardiness is. I don't really know. I just know that it needs to be warmer rather than colder. Okay. What kind of a pot should you put it in? A non-porous pot, such as plastic or polypropylene, is a good choice. They retain moisture and are lightweight, making it easier to move pots. Oh, my clocks are going off right at the moment. Can you hear them? Uh, Making it easier to move the pots indoors and out. You use the heavy pot. Moving them is not easy. An unglazed ceramic or terracotta pot or wood container requires extra vigilance. Oof, trouble with my words today. Anyway, extra vigilance in monitoring the soil moisture, oh dear, to make sure that the plant doesn't dry out. And they are heavier to move. It says not to use black plastic nursery pots. Well, that is kind of what I have mine in, is a black plastic nursery pot. But since I'm not growing it outside, I'm not as worried about it, because the black plastic absorbs and retains heat from the sun, creating triple-digit soil temperatures which can cook the roots. So when I do take it out in the summer, I will be very careful to put it in a spot where it is not going to cook. The pot should have multiple drainage holes, which my pot does, because good soil drainage and good root aeration are key to successfully growing a containerized citrus. If the pot only has one hole in the center, you may want to drill 4 to 6 more evenly spaced holes around the circumference. You notice on my pot, the holes are around the edges, they're little square holes around the edges, the outside rim of the bottom of the pot. So it should have plenty of drainage. You could also select a planter with casters or put it on a plant caddy. That would help you move it if it's heavy. So easy maneuverability is important if you shift locations outdoors. What kind of soil should I put it in? Well, it needs to be a good quality, lightweight planting mix formulated for containers. And I did some research, and there were a specific potting soil that said it was for cactus and citrus. There was something else too, I don't remember what it was. So I knew that it would work. But when my hubby went to the store to buy them, I told him I just needed a small sack of it for my pot. The only one they had just said cactus on it. So I thought that if the others said cactus and citrus, but just cactus one, we looked to see what was in it, and yeah, it should work. So it really should. It has inorganic ingredients such as perlite. It needs to have perlite and vermiculite, which will provide to help the long-term drainage and aeration. Large size particles such as pine or other wood chips, shaving peat moss, coconut husk, chips, or coarse sand also help promote the drainage. And the soil that we did buy was sufficient in those areas. Well, I took a wee bit of a break there, but I see I was almost ready to turn my camera back on. It turned itself on. Who knows? Usually cameras turn themselves off. This one turned on. Well, we were talking about the soil. If you don't have a good, well-draining soil with all of those things that I mentioned, or at least most of them in it, like if you just use a regular potting soil, you need to amend it with like lots of perlite or vermiculite, some coco coir maybe, or peat moss, something that will loosen it up and make it more like the kind of soil that I was trying to describe to you. It's important because otherwise the roots don't have a chance to grow properly, and that is very important. So when you plant it, when I planted mine, the pot that I used had a dead plant in it, been in there for a while. I emptied all that out and I put the new potting soil from the new potting bag that hubby got for me. And my little kitty, Sweetie Pie, tried to open for me. It was so funny this morning. I had the bag laying in front of the chair where I was sitting, and she came over and she was taking her teeth and biting on the plastic outside of the bag, trying to open the bag of soil. And Sweetie Pie, no, I want to open the bag of soil myself. Not your job. Anyway, we finally got her to leave the bag alone, and I did get the bag open and filled up the pot that I was going to use, and you'll see it in a picture here shortly. And then made an indentation in the middle, the size of the pot that I was going to, the little pot, and took the plant out of the little pot and put it into that area and put the soil around it so that it doesn't have any air gaps. What I read said to look for graft union, and that would be a slight bump or scar where the fruit variety was grafted to the rootstock, about 4 to 8 inches above the root ball. I did not notice a root graft on mine. There may be one, but if there is, I didn't see it. But what I did was I made sure that the soil level from the soil I put in the pot and from the pot that it was in, the root ball, were the same. And I made sure that none of the new soil gathered up around the base of the plant. So we're okay as far as if there's a graft union there, it's where it needs to be. It said to remove any green young shoots that arise from below the graft union, because as soon as they appear, because these suckers will keep the plant from growing what you're wanting to grow appropriately. It will suck all the energy out of it. So mine didn't have any of that kind of stuff, so we're good there. I got it from Stark Brothers, so that is one way to know that you're going to have a good plant, is to buy it from a reputable company. And Stark Brothers has a very good reputation. Unlike roots that spread freely through the garden to absorb water and nutrients, containerized roots are at the mercy of you, the gardener, for food and drink. Citrus trees in containers are particular about water, which is also important for the fruit development. So they need consistent soil moisture, keeping it just a wee bit on the dry side, but not completely. It says do not allow the roots to dry out. Consistently wet soil is bad for the citrus because it's susceptible to root rot, but you don't want it dry either. So moist, just moist, not wet. Citrus plants and many trees do not do well in soils that are sandy with, okay, I read that wrong. I was reading to you the information. They do well in soil that is sandy and humus. So that's the kind of soil that they like. Peat moss, perlite, lime, worm castings, and sand. And I noticed mine did have that. It said the lime was added to make appropriate acidity in the potting mix. And It allows for great drainage and aeration for the roots to prevent the root rot and it retains the nutrients, the pH balance, and plenty of humus and organic matter. How often do you water? It must be the most frequently asked question in gardening. It depends, is the most accurate answer that any gardener can give you about any plant. It depends. It depends on soil type, plant size, pot type, growing season, weather, sun, wind, rain, and if the pot is inside or outside. There are so many variables you cannot and should not ever give someone a definitive answer about how often to water. Your best bet is to monitor the soil regularly, follow a consistent schedule, water as infrequently as possible, but allowing the water to soak through the root zone and out the drainage holes each time, making sure that the pot sits above any salty drainage water so that it won't be reabsorbed and damage the roots. Test the soil moisture levels in the root zone. You can use a soil moisture meter or just make a low-tech version with a wooden chopstick. Push it into the soil and out and feel if it's dry or moist. If it's moist, the soil sticks to it. Keep a simple journal of water use through the seasons to help you fine-tune and understand your citrus tree's requirements. It won't be long before you know just when it's time to water. What about feeding? Feed containerized citrus regularly with a complete fertilizer containing nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's NPK. Those are the 3 numbers on your package. Citrus, and they also need iron, manganese, magnesium, and zinc. Citrus fertilizers are an easy option as they contain the extra nitrogen and micronutrients that the plant needs to thrive. Complete all-surface fertilizers, all-purpose fertilizers, can also do the trick if you supplement with an occasional foliar spray of nitrogen-rich fertilizer that contains micronutrients. When I replanted mine from its little pot to its big pot, I didn't give it any fertilizer, but in a week or so I will, because I wanted to give it a chance just to settle into its new home. When you move your citrus from indoors to out, or vice versa, outdoors to in, they need a couple or 3 weeks to harden off if you're moving them either direction. They need to gradually get used to the change in the temperature and the different growing conditions between indoors and outdoors. This reduces shock, which appear as yellowing and dropping leaves and fruit. And it's a fairly common reaction with citrus in the spring, moving the tree outdoors into a sheltered location, such as a shady spot, out of the direct wind for 7 to 10 days before moving it into filtered light and ever-increasing sunlight, direct sunlight. Several weeks ago, I received some fig trees that looked like they were dead. And you may remember that I made a video about it. Both of them have green leaves at the bottom of the stalk now, and they're definitely not dead, but they certainly don't look the way I want. And it came right when we had lots of cold, freezing weather outside, and what I think is that it was just shock from the transporting from where they came from to get to me, that just the plant couldn't handle, because it wasn't bundled up enough, I guess. I don't know, but they're coming back. Anyway, my lemon tree looked wonderful when I got it, so that was good. Pollinating. In order to get fruit, plants have to be pollinated. Bees are when the plant is outdoors, bees are the primary pollinator of outdoor citrus, producing delicious honey as a byproduct if you are lucky enough to be a beekeeper. However, the majority of citrus trees get the job done themselves. They are known to be self-fruitful or self-fertile. I read somewhere that you could, when you have blossoms, take a Q-tip and just touch it from one flower to the next, to kind of help it along. But it should be able to do it itself. Lemons, limes, kumquats, they all make fun to grow in container plants. And they have different schedules. If you have space for multiple trees, extend your harvest season by growing varieties that mature in different months. Well, it usually takes 2 or 3 years, sometimes as many as 5 or 6 years, for most trees to bear a large, consistent crop. Since I just got this little tree, I don't know how long it's going to take before I have lemons. I don't expect them this summer. That would be mighty unusual. I'll let you know. In the first year or two after transplant, some growers recommend pinching off any fruits that set when they are still tiny. And this allows the tree to expend its resources on root and branch development, ultimately consisting in a stronger, healthier tree that will produce more fruit for years to come. Taste test once you do get fruit to determine if the fruit is sweet, because the rind color does not always indicate ripeness. Citrus may be harvested over several months, so its best storage method is to leave the fruit on the tree until you are ready to eat it. Lemons and mandarin orange flavors come together in this citrus fruit. The Meyer lemon tastes like kind of a cross between lemons and mandarin oranges. They do not taste like a normal lemon, but you will still know it's a lemon. Growing Meyer lemons in garden pots or in the ground are a rewarding experience. Not only are they prolific fruit producers, but their showy white blossoms are incredibly fragrant and beautiful, with dark, shiny foliage that adds to additional interest. What about Meyer lemons? They're native to China. Meyer lemon trees are naturally a shrub-like tree, but can be easily pruned into true tree form. When they're planted in the ground, they can grow up to 10 feet tall, though when grown in garden pots, they generally will be smaller and grow according to the size of the pot. Mine will not get real tall because I have it in, I don't know how big this pot is, but this big around, and about this deep. It'll be good in that pot for a while anyway, several years. It will grow smaller because of the size of the pot. And seedlings develop at a moderate pace, bearing fruit in about approximately 4 years. These trees are best planted in early spring after the danger of frost has passed. Well, like I said, mine's going to stay indoors in the pot and just go out in the summer when the weather is appropriate for a citrus tree. They need warm conditions year-round to produce a good harvest, or they will need to be overwintered indoors. Similar to other citrus fruits, the fruit skin and plant material are toxic to dogs and cats. I have mine sitting up on a planter, a wire. I don't know what it's called. It's kind of a tree thing. It's sitting up on the cat, doesn't it? I have never ever seen the cat try to get up there, so I think we're okay there. And it was back in my plant room down where she could get to it. She didn't bother with it, so we're not something I'm worried about. Unlike the most common Eureka and Lisbon lemons, the Meyer lemon is actually a hybrid fruit, probably a cross, like I said earlier, between a lemon and a mandarin orange. It was brought to the United States in 1908 by agricultural explorer named Frank Meyer, thus Meyer lemon. While the original hybrid from China proved to be highly susceptible to viral disease, today's form, released by the University of California in 1975, is a much improved plant. And I know that Stark Brothers take very good care of their plants and make sure that they have nice, strong plants. The Meyer lemon fruit is sweeter than the fruit of other lemon trees, and even the peels are tasty and great for cooking. They are also smaller and have a rounder shape, looking a little more like an orange. Self-pollinating tree, meaning you only need one tree in order to have fruit. Its common name, Meyer lemon. Its botanical name, Citrus X Meyeri. Family, Rutaceae, Rutaceae. I can't pronounce that one. Plant type, tree or shrub. Mature size 6 to 10 feet tall, 4 to 8 feet wide. Sun exposure full and partial. Soil type sandy, well draining. Soil pH neutral, acidic. Bloom time fall, spring. Flower color white, hardiness zone 9 to 11. That would be it. USDA zone 9 to 11. That's if you grow them outside. Like I said, mine are growing inside. I'm 6B. Native area, China. Toxicity, I mentioned toxicity to dogs and cats. Tree care, it's an easy matter in warm climates like Florida or California, where they're popular as low maintenance container grown plants, both outdoors and inside. They're slightly more cold tolerant than Eureka, Lisbon lemons, but still need a sheltered and sunny position to thrive. These trees, don't do well in saturated conditions, so pick a spot that has excellent drainage, and if you're concerned about standing water, build a wide mound of soil to plant your tree on, or position it on a slope. The other thing that I learned is they like humidity, at least 50% or more. Well, no matter what time of year it is, it doesn't get very humid here. So the suggestion is to place the pot on a bowl full of rocks, and in that bowl full of rocks, have water up to nearly almost to the top of the rocks, and then set the pot on top of that, and that will provide some humidity. You could use a small humidifier in the room too, but I don't know how it would be here, but when I have used humidifiers before, it makes the inside of the house too sweaty to like moisture on the windows and stuff. So I haven't tried a humidifier for years, but we'll just try to keep it as humid as we can without messing up the rest of the house. So what else do I know about my lemon tree? I know that giving you this information about how they grow was lots of fun. I enjoy researching things, and then I enjoy teaching others about what I've learned. I'm anxious for my little Meyer lemon tree to grow. It took the place of a lemon tree that I had, that I grew from a seed that I got out of lemonade that I had gotten at a restaurant. And it grew, you know, like so tall, and it had leaves on it, and did really good for about 3 years, and then it died. I don't know why, but it did. So hopefully that doesn't happen with this one. It shouldn't, because this is a good lemon tree. And I have a little song running through my head. I don't think I can sing it. Lemon tree, oh so pretty, da 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 bum 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 bum. I don't know how it goes. I don't remember the words, but my lemon tree is pretty. So I hope you learned about lemon or citrus of any kind, how to grow it, and how to enjoy having it. Whether you live in a southern climate where you can grow it outside, or whether you live in a northern climate where you have to keep it in the house. Take care of it, nurture it, and it will reward you eventually with beautiful fruits that taste yummy, and I'm anxious for that. So until my next video, well, before I end this video, I wanted to remind you about the gardening homesteading skills collaboration that I'm a part of, teaching the world how to garden. How to grow a lemon tree is part of that. So go to that hashtag, gardening homesteading skills, and you will find all kinds of videos. There's like there's over 200 videos in there now from, we have 70 some odd people in the collaboration, teaching you about all kinds of things that have to do with gardening, showing you what they're doing, weighing their produce, doing all kinds of things in the gardening world. And if you're a new gardener or you're a seasoned gardener, either one, go to that hashtag. Maybe you'll learn something new about some other plant or some other way to garden. So until I see you again, may God's love and blessings surround you, and just keep on growing, you guys. Grow away.